okay? And then we want to go to course documents, right? And under course document, we have the groups. Which group, where are you, Vanessa? You're group 2. So let's start with you, Vanessa, and your group. And then everybody can take notes, and then we can do the next step of Agile development in the class so we don't have to worry about improving, right? So we got here, how many people in your group?
3.
3.
I mean, 2 others.
Okay, so we got Eden and Vanessa, and who's the third person?
Paige.
And where's Paige? Have you seen them? Since the beginning, have you seen them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so were they here last week? We don't know. So do me a favor and text them, Eden, text them and let them know, are they still part of the class? If they're not, we wish them the best. We're having a great time, but
I think she is because we talked about our web conference.
okay, so she needs it. So everybody can put a note here, and you can put a note here too as well, Vanessa. Is what do we want to do? Is for each of our assignments, we want each individual to do their assignment, and then we want to work what? As a group. So each of you should have found a web conferencing program. Okay? So put that note there in the back there, Vanessa, that each of you should then do a web conference. You should have, each of you should upload in your group. If you don't have your group, then we'll worry about that later. If some people will make adjustments, we don't want to kick anybody out if they're still a part of the group, but if they're not participating, we want to know about it and move on. Okay? The second part in what we want to do is put this in a note. I want you to actually choose at least one of these and actually participate as a group for like a minute, talk about it together as a group. And if you can't record it using the web conferencing, how can you record it? Screencasting. Look at this. That's great, isn't it? So we can use the screencasting on top of that to record it to make sure that it's working properly. So that'll be the next example. So everybody in the group, everybody jotting this down. So what you need to do then is have that as you can even decide maybe to do 2 or 3, depending on your group, and see which one works the best. And guess what? It's just like the plumber. There's just not one tool. Sometimes one is advantage of the other. For instance, Skype may be good for certain types of things, and sometimes even a FaceTime may be good enough if I just need to talk one-on-one. But if I need to start sharing screens, if I want to start broadcasting other types of things, we need to be able to have a set of tools. Okay? So we have that. Another thing is what I'd like you to do next time, and this is okay, I appreciate it. You did the files, but let's do kind of bullet points. You know, when you're going to read everybody else, it's really hard to start reading it. It's almost like the pros and cons. So just even start doing bullet points that everybody can see what are the main issues, and also what do we want to do. Make sure that we have, and you can write this down, is that we want to have how many people can participate, being participants, and how many people can be viewers. What's the difference between participants and viewers? Participants means that they actually then can share their screens, we can see their faces, they can go on. Sometimes we can have what I call viewers that they can listen and see, but they're not full participants. And the other thing you want to do is cost. Some of you, I went and looked at it, it says like 14 days. Some of you got some who got those that it's like 14 days and so forth. That's fine, but what's the problem for us? Our semester is longer than 14 days. So find, even after it, it may be good for things that we're ready to do, but find another one that is free for at least 60 or 90 days that we can use it. It's all right if they have ads. Sometimes they limit us to the number of participants. For instance, Zoom is free, but if you want to have rooms, if you want to do more creative things, you want to have larger numbers, you want to have longer periods of time. So put the restrictions of what's free and what isn't. Okay? What else? Okay, so let's do this. And and go to now, the next one, go back to course documents, and just flip through in course documents, start with group 1, and ask if group 1 is here and let them talk about it. Okay? You call on, you're the group leader, then that's what we gotta get you to have more self-confidence. Okay? I'm especially picking my people that feel like they don't have self-confidence. We're gonna boost it up. How much? And Eden's gonna judge you 10 points up. We want their self-confidence to go up. Okay.
Alright, so what we did was we used 3 different web conferencing websites, and we also used like each one of us had our screencasting still downloaded, so we used each one of our screencasting softwares too. So we just filmed.
So what are you missing?
So what we did was we filmed what?
What are you missing? What needs to be in
Is
our
it-
agile development, Jackie? What
Do you
needs to be?
think, is it pros and cons?
Well, yeah, first of all, pros and
So the
cons.
pros and cons, we said
And the
them.
price, and then just put it up here, right?
Right,
You
yeah,
have it,
true.
you can just put them up here that everybody can see it.
So we did that in the video.
Yeah,
You
so
wanna
do
just
it on
let
the
know?
outside,
Yeah,
because
okay.
people wanna do it quickly, right? We wanna be able to
I
compare,
feel you.
and we can do it now, right, Jackie? So we can
Yeah.
even do it now of putting the pros, the cons, and the price. So everybody, and what's the purpose? I'm not looking for busy work for you. We're all busy, right? I'm looking, let's be concise, let's to be able to work in a group, collaborate, and then among others, what did you find? And then ask them, then, Jackie, what did you find the best? Or what's the advantage,
So
which one?
the one we used that we found the best was Zoom. It was so
Zoom.
easily accessible.
Uh-huh.
Like, it was free. We just hopped on, had a lot of accessibilities also we could use. Also, we used a lot of them, and like we heard weird noises, and like.
And which ones?
in,
I don't wanna hear too many details of what you
in
did
Google
over the weekend,
Hangout,
okay?
in Google
That was a
Hangout, we heard a lot of noises,
I'll always
like
put
background
jokes.
noises.
What?
No, in Google Hangout, we used a lot of background noises when we were
Yeah,
trying
yeah,
to
that's a problem.
screencast it, which, yeah, that was not good.
Right.
So Zoom worked for us the best.
Okay, so Zoom worked the best for you. Okay, and how did you record it? Did you record?
So we recorded Zoom using Snagit, which is a screencasting.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I would even put the notes there, you know, under the Zoom, put pros, cons, and then you can even write screencast with the name of the program you used. How much was Snagit?
I think it was, I have it on the.
Was it free
screencast.
or you have it?
No, Snagit was like, it was a free trial for like 20 days.
Okay, so what is the issue on that? Either we'll have to use another email or something to get it, Snagit's
Yeah.
really nice, but we're gonna need it somehow to go over that. Okay, what else? All right, go to the next one.
Group 3,
So, what are their names? Read their names.
Dan,
Me.
Okay. So ask him to tell you. No?
can you tell me?
I did Zoom also.
Okay, you did Zoom, okay?
Yeah. Some of the pros are it has like tons of features like screen sharing, video and audio sharing, file sharing, and it can like record the meetings, and it has even a phone app.
Okay. And did you try the phone app?
No.
That'd be nice to see. It'd be nice one time, put a note that you'll try the phone out now this time. Did you screencast it? Did you try it with your group?
Not yet.
Okay, so that's another thing that you need to do. So for next time, you'll do that. And what's the cost?
It's free.
Okay, and what was the other one we did?
Anymeeting.com.
Uh-huh.
I did the light version, which is the free version pretty much.
Okay,
And, that one was not as good as Zoom.
Okay.
Because with this one, you're only allowed to invite 4 people to participate with you. But the premium versions of Anymeeting are a lot better than the just free version. But anyways, you can screencast your screen with the free version. There's a lot of limitations to the free version.
okay,
And, but I did test it out. I didn't screencast it. But the audio, even they have a feature where you can call into the meeting. so I thought that audio worked well, but, there was a lot of lagging in the video. So I didn't think the video was all that good.
Okay, great. So go to the next one. You're on a roll, Vanessa. Let's go. You're welcome.
Group 4, Renee. Or anyone.
Diane, Noah.
Um,
So, okay.
Zoom.
Okay, yours was Zoom. And Noah?
I use GoToMeeting.
GoToMeeting, okay. So we talked about Zoom already. So what about Noah, what's the price of GoToMeeting?
It's like, I don't know the exact price, but I got a 14-day free trial.
Okay.
And then you have to pay monthly after that.
Okay, what's the advantage?
I'm not sure what the advantage is over other, programs, but, I mean, it seems pretty good to me. I didn't use it with my group yet, so I don't know.
Okay, so the next thing that you need to do is use both of them with the groups. Anybody ever use GoToMeeting? GoToMeeting, you put it in your notes, GoToMeeting was bought out by Citrix, and its advantages, it's very good for, people use it for webinars. What's the difference what we're looking at in a webinar? Anybody hear about a webinar? Why don't you write down, Vanessa, on the board, a webinar? What did you get? And if anyone doesn't know, what do you think they should do, Vanessa? What do you want to tell them?
Look it up.
Look it up, right, look at how she's trained here. Okay, so what do we get? So wait till everybody looks it up, and what do we get? You can look it up as well, right? And what do we find in a webinar? What's the difference? What's the question? What's the difference between web conferencing and a webinar? Everybody understand the question? Matt, what's the question?
I'm sorry.
See, Aaron, what's the question? Help Matt out. You wanna help our friends, right? When we're kinda dazed out and trying to do something else, I know it. It's hard to come back from Labor Day, yes. But we gotta labor, what?
The difference between webinar and web conference?
Yeah. So you got did you get the answer too, Aaron?
I think the web conference is like the general term for like different types of like online collaboration, and like a webinar
Yes.
is a part of web conferencing. It's like just a seminar over the internet.
Okay, and what's the big major difference a lot of times?
Is a webinar like done by one person, like taught?
Yeah, it's usually like a lecture format. Many times, what they use webinars for is they have people sign up, so they get their email. So who uses it a lot of times is for marketeering, right? They'll say, we're gonna do a webinar, I'll get all my potential clients. How many people are marketing majors here? Yes? So think about it in terms of marketing, getting my clients, I can follow up with them. A lot of times, it's one-sided, I can mute everybody in the session and just give a talk. So it isn't as interactive as sometimes we need. Usually it's harder to give someone else. Basically everybody's like a viewer, not a participant. We have one and basically moderator and a viewer. You can make some changes, but the easy part is it allows you to send out emails to everybody. So for instance, Noah, you would set up a webinar for your company. And you'd say, hey, we're gonna do one once a week. It would send out to all my list. Go click on this, register to it, so you gather their emails. You can send them additional information. So that's in webinar, so that's what it's used. So let's go to the next one. What do we got?
Group 5,
And who do we got in group 5?
Kelsey.
Okay. Is Kelsey here? Yes, Kelsey. Who's in your group, Kelsey?
Jamie.
Okay. And that's it? And who else?
And Jamie, she knows.
And what?
Jamie.
Jamie, so there's 2 of you?
3.
Okay. All right, so Kelsey, what did you do? So one, Kelsey, is you want to get on with the others, your other group, and say, you don't want to be you don't want to be leading the whole group and everybody just waiting for you, right? So that's one, okay? What did you find?
I did life size.
Uh-huh.
and it was really easy to use. They have like a 24/7 like hot like chat room that you can use. So they always have chat. You can have like 50 people up to it, like participants, and then 10,000 viewers.
Oh, wow, pretty big, huh? And so what's the cost?
I don't know. It's just a 14-day free trial.
Okay. So the issue here is, how can you extend it? So do some research, you know the drill here, do some research on what happens after 14 days. So if it's those 14-day free trials, do the cost of what it would cost in the class. Kelsey, I don't want you to pay if you don't want to. You know, I'm not gonna prevent anybody from paying for a tool. Then try to search with the rest of your group for free ones, and then for next week, join in a web conference and screencasting. Okay, next.
Claudine.
I did Join Me.
Mm-hmm.
It's only free for 14 days, and then you have like different packages. In the free version, you can screen share, but you can only have 3 participants. And they have.
So they have a free version,
Yeah,
but just 3.
Yeah, and it's only 2 weeks.
Okay. But is it only 2 weeks, or can I extend it and just use their limited version free?
I think they had, there were various packages like Business Pro. I can't remember if this type of package you could buy, but like in the Pro plan, for example, it had like many cool things, like you could have cloud storage, you could have Salesforce integration, but then in the free version there wasn't much besides like webcam and internet calling. And then for iOS there's like a thing called whiteboards, where you could like collaborate and like have your own board that people could see.
That's right.
But obviously the cons is that it's not free,
Right.
and you can't, on the limited version, you can't record or archive your web conferences. And they can have viewers, because you get like your own link, but I didn't know how much viewers, it wasn't clear.
Okay, so see if you can get, if this free, if it's only for 14 days, if that can be extended, and then do the same thing of, let's see if it will work. So do we have a good, is it on?
Yeah.
We have a good view here? Okay, what else? Go to and then what else did we do? Vanessa, what did you use?
I used Google Conference,
Uh-huh,
and it's free for 10 participants.
okay,
And you have access to everything. If you pay $15 a month, then it increases to 100 participants.
okay, okay, great. All right, and next?
I did Zoom, and we kind of already talked about it.
Okay, we talked about it, okay, fine, so everybody did that. All right, any other questions? So let's stop for here. Everybody, I didn't go through all of them, but everybody got the idea what you need to do. Any questions of what needs to be done? So Shauna, what needs to be done for next week? For everyone.
To work on your web conferencing softwares and screencast them.
Right, and screencast them as a group, that's the key here, right? If you just look Leah by yourself, it's completely different. Like Jackie was saying, he tried Google Hangouts on air, and when we get another person, all of a sudden we get the echoing, what are the issues? The key is to do it, because guess what, we're gonna eat, as I said before, we're gonna eat our own dog food. That means when we're created, those tools that we're gonna use it further and further in the class. So we're just not gonna be, it's not gonna be like a one-time thing, okay, now I want you to get proficient in a number of different tools, and you can use it at the place where you need to. Questions? All right, so let's give a hand to Vanessa, she took over, thank you very much, Vanessa, okay? And then Eden will make sure she boosts a couple of those self-confidence points for herself. Okay, so let me just see here if I can get into my version. And we can talk about software, who needs it. Let me mention another couple of things. Next Monday is a Jewish holiday and we do not have class. Is that correct, Jackie, right? So we do not have class, there's no class for me. I don't know about your other instructors, okay? but put that in your notes. And what I'd like to do, whose group members are not here? Anyone? You can write, go ahead and text them and let them know that Monday, but text them and let them know that what their assignment is, because you need to complete your group. I'm a little bit lenient the first couple of weeks, since we're doing agile to get everybody up and running, but what we want to do is make sure that the next assignments we do, we don't have to drag the draggers behind. You know what I mean? If they don't want to go with us, you know, it's like life. We can leave them behind. You understand? But we want to give them a chance, and then maybe they can shine and help us do other things. Okay? So we're going to be. So one thing is. What date is that, September 10th? There's no class. Now, the next chapter, let me do a quiz. I have to do an online quiz, right? Every week we do an online quiz. You have to remind me to do an online quiz. So let me go to courses before we do that. And I'm going to go to assignments. You go to your regular courses, not the one that you teach, right? And we're going to skip to chapter 4. Everybody put in your notes here. We're going to skip to chapter 4, and we're going to edit the test options, and I'm going to make sure that we're opening a new test. I'm going to make it available, and I'll give 2 attempts, okay? Does that work out rather than 1? This way you can make sure that you get it all correct. I'm not going to time it. It'll be open, book, open, no. I'm going to submit. And you tell me if you see it. Yes, no?
Yeah.
Yes, good. Feedback for that, I can move on. Next, we won't have class. We're going to talk about security. And I'm going to try to invite the chief security officer of the university to come and tell us where are the vulnerabilities, the do's and don'ts, right? How to be safe. Hopefully your parents taught you some things about how to be safe in certain areas, how to be safe on the computer. We want to be safe on the computer, safe digitally as well, and do the proper methods. But before we do that, we want to talk about software. And I guess the idea of computer programs, programming documentation as well. Who's ever programmed before? Raise your hand. Who's ever done any programming? Okay, good. We're going to program today. Who's finance majors? Okay, I have quite a few finance majors. Okay, so we'll do finance programming today. How many people have ever used Excel? Okay, so we'll do also next week. I'll do an example where we'll do with some data and so forth. We'll do an Excel exercise, and we'll look at some different programming as well. So this is the key here, is we have software, and if I look at this diagram here, you see this is in the inside hardware, and then there's something called system software, and there's something called application software. And I want to ask you, what's the difference and who cares? So Evan, you never did any programming?
I did.
Yeah, what kind of programming? And did you raise your hand when I said who knows over?
So
I just
the
didn't.
engineering language C++.
C++. Who else did programming? Anyone else? Okay, so I figured if you did engineering, they couldn't have allowed you to do, right, engineering without C++. Okay, so the idea is when I have hardware, what is system programming then? System software. Can you tell me? Evan, you have an idea?
Oh,
What's
like-
system software? How do we explain? We have it in, here we have it in this slide here, right? Where it says system software is a set of instructions that basically serves primarily as an intermediary between computer hardware and application programs. What does that mean and who cares, right? So when you buy a computer, right? You all bought laptops and we all have phones, right? So the phone we can think about is hardware, your laptop is hardware. And basically when you turn on your laptop and what we call it boots up, where does it go? It goes to the system software that's going to be a link between my hardware and my application software. Meaning, have you ever saved a file on your laptop? Raise your hand if you've ever saved a file. What helps you save the file? From the application software, and if I think about an application software is what basically a set of computer instructions that provides more specific functionality to a user. So let's talk about Excel. Everybody's used Excel, right? When I write a spreadsheet in Excel and I save it to my hard drive, or I save it to my cloud drive, what's in between that to help it save is what we call system software. The Excel is a system software and application software. What do you think? Claudine, is Excel a system software or an application software? This is a good.
I think it's application.
It's an application. It's something that you actually use, right? So it's an application that you use is basically you can think about as an application software. The system software is supplied by the manufacturer. So you can put that in your note. System software is built in. When you buy an iPhone, how many people have iPhones? Right? How many people have Android phones? Anyone? If you buy an Apple iPhone, right, the operating system is built in. Anybody hear about an operating system before? They say, I'm going to use iOS, or I'm going to have Mac OS, I'm going to have Windows, right? That's the operating system that allows the entire hardware to work as one. So if I want to send something out to the printer, I want to save something to the disk, I want to take something from my keyboard and input it, that's done by what? The operating system. That operating system is what they call system software. That's a set of instructions that they call it lower level. Most programmers don't program in those types of applications, but it's essential for the computer to work. But it's like the system software that we can work. Do you have any other comments on that, Evan?
I don't think so.
Okay? So that's what we were talking about. And if I talk about it, think about it. Anybody have anything like Alexa? Anybody ever use Alexa? So does Alexa have system software in it? What do you think? It's a device, it's hardware. So any hardware device has in it what? Renee? It has system software in it. It's built in. And then on top of it, it has applications. It's just like your phone that you have iOS, and what do you have? You have, anybody hear about apps? You want to download apps? Another word for apps is what? Application software. It's what you use, what you choose to install onto your phone, onto your laptop. Everybody with me? So this is the hardware, this is the systems program, and this is the application software. Now what you'll see here in any application software, I can have defects, that there can be problems, there can be bugs in the software. There's the idea of who owns it, who's going to license it. We have something called open systems and open source. what's important here is there's something called open source software. So put it in your notes, open source software. And what's the key here? Anybody hear about open source? What is it? And who cares? And if you don't know, what should you do? Right. Yes, Evan?
It's pretty much the software available to the general public for free. Anyone can use it.
Okay.
It's cool.
There's something called source code. Source code are lines of instruction to the computer. You can have different lines of source code to the computer, and that lines of source code to the computer can be what we call proprietary or open source. Dylan, have you ever heard of open source?
No.
Okay. Proprietary, what does proprietary seem to mean to you? What does the word proprietary mean? If I say it's proprietary.
Relating to an owner.
Relating to an owner, right? So that owner, if it relates to the owner, they have custody of it and they don't open it to the public. So for instance, you familiar with the company Apple? Right. So a lot of their software, what software do you use from the company Apple?
FaceTime.
What?
FaceTime.
FaceTime. FaceTime is written using source code. But they don't allow the public to see the code. They own it. Microsoft. Anybody ever use Microsoft products? Anybody use Word, Excel? Right? Those are Microsoft products. That is proprietary software. They don't allow the source code to be viewed. Apple operating system is proprietary. Windows is proprietary. But there's some software that they say, I will let the public, it's basically saying the public can see the source code, and it means the public can improve the product. So one example of an operating system is called Linux. And Linux is another type of operating system that is open to the public. And why should you care? Sometimes what you can do is you can improve a product by almost like, anybody here like crowdsourcing, crowdfunding? In programming terms, the crowd is open source. The crowd can make additions to it. Anybody ever gone to Wikipedia? Right? In Wikipedia, you can think about Wikipedia. Who writes Wikipedia, Dan?
Anybody?
It's basically source crowding, so you can think about open source, put in your notes that open source is similar to Wikipedia. And the way that it's open to the public, that it will take the public and allow the public to start helping us in its turn. We'll have editors, right? Not every piece of, slanderous things are going to be written about a topic, and then we'll say, hey, this needs to be edited. It's like a group process on it. So these are areas in the software of applications, and you can see software can be speech recognition, voice recognition, continuous speech. You can think about personal applications. You're familiar with personal applications, spreadsheets, graphics, right, and all the web processing. Questions? So, let me show you examples of source programming, and then I'll have volunteers to help me with the source. Okay, any questions on this? This should be pretty straightforward. After you're going through this, if you have any questions on it, I'll do it. But to me, a lot of times, this is like kind of on the best way to do it is I'll show it to you. So let me just here, I'll try here, we'll see what happens. I'll move this, close this, I'll say okay. All right. How we doing, okay? Everybody okay? So who are my finance people? Raise your hand. So I have here, what do I have here? So Will, who else? One, and Aaron, what else? That's it? And Sam and Matt, I saw more. No? Not on this side? Where's your name tag? If we don't have it, what do we do? Right? We don't have, this is one time. Here we have a marker, here we have a pen, extra paper, we don't have to bother. Okay. There's something called FinTech, which basically means taking financial services, financial software programs, way of doing finance, and using technology for it, and disrupting. Just like we talked about disrupting marketing, disrupting the car industry, disrupting hotels, disrupting everything. One of the companies, the industries that are getting disrupted is the financial markets. Everybody with me? So it's the idea that what do we want to do is we don't want to have, what's the whole idea? Is to take what we call the intermediary layer and displace it. That I don't have to go through a number of steps, it can be more efficient. Just like you, when you think about it, when I'm doing ordering now, I don't have to order and go to a salesman, to a salesman, to a salesman to order something. If I want something, what do? I can go online, order it, I put my information in, it gets shipped, and that's it, or I can pick it up in the store, or whatever. That's kind of in doing a digital transformation. So what I'm having in FinTech is that what we can do is, FinTech is being changed in what we call wealth management. Anybody want to go into wealth management? Okay, so Sam, what is wealth management? You want to go into it, so what is it? Tell us, the class. A lot of people don't even know what that means. A lot of people say, I want to have wealth, I'm going to manage my wealth, is that it?
Managing assets and taking your client's money.
Taking your client's money and doing what? Not running away to the Cayman Islands and taking trips on your yachts, but what?
Like earning them money over the
Okay, so basically taking care and helping them keep track, and that's wealth management. And a lot of times what we will hear about is we'll hear about the idea of robotics. Anybody hear about it? We'll hear about the idea of AI. What's AI? Anybody know?
artificial intelligence.
Artificial intelligence, and we'll talk about that. I always can use any additional intelligence that I need. You know, my mind is like this, and I would like to expand, so we'll talk about AI. And another area we'll talk about is in trading assets, for instance, trading stocks, right? Everybody know that basically trading stocks, which stocks went down today is Twitter was anybody hear about Twitter, right? So the head of Twitter was on Capitol Hill today, was in front of Congress, so what do you think their stock did? Went up or down? Because they want to do more regulations. What do you think? Down, right? Facebook, I didn't look at what happened with that barrel value went down too, and then they do like the Contagion, all the other companies. So in trading, what traditionally has been is what? If Sam was my broker, traditionally I call my broker, Sam, and say, you know what, Sam, I want to buy, let's say I want to buy Twitter, and he says, you know what, and he give me some advice. Maybe Twitter, they're going on Capitol Hill, maybe you want to either buy it, or he says maybe you want to short it, the stock. And what does short mean? Who can tell me? Yes?
Short is like, it's like, to make it sound easy, easy, I guess. It's like you want the market to go down because when you short a stock, like you sold it to someone, you're waiting for someone to buy it back. So
Okay, I'm borrowing it. So basically, we can do it very good. So basically, what do? Buy it, if I buy a stock, let's do simple. Buy a stock, it means what? That I think it's gonna go up or down? Up. So if I buy today 100, at 100, one stock at $100, maybe I expect on Monday it to go to 110. But if I'm thinking about Twitter and all what I'm thinking about my Facebooks, right? Sam and I discuss it, and we think it's going to go down. What we're going to do is we're betting that stock is going to go down, so I'm going to make money on the downside. Everybody with me? It's pretty. I'm making it simplified. Later on, the mechanics is I borrow the stock, and then I'm expecting to return it. So that, put in your notes here. That's called a short. I'm betting the market's going down. A buy would be what? I'm betting that the market will go up. Now, what percent, so I'm calling Sam to do that, right? Or Renee says, I know a software program, I'll enter, Renee is going to tell me I'm going to enter the stock on something like Ameritrade or something, and I'll do it. What percent of the stock market, the U.S. stock market, is traded by computers, automated computers, versus by human beings entering in the orders? Everybody hear my question? Who heard my question? Cody, did you hear my question?
No.
What percent of the U.S. market is being traded by the computer, only being traded by automated trading systems versus human beings? A human being actually says, Sam says, I'm putting in an order for 100 shares of Twitter, or 100 shares of IBM, or 100 shares of Facebook. He enters it. You can enter it into the computer, but what is done completely automated, that a human being doesn't touch it. Yes, Evan?
Like 90% now?
Like 90%, between 80 and 90%. Amazing. Where are all those human beings, Sam? So those in finance, what I'm going to think about, it's being disruptive. A chunk of those people doing those orders don't have jobs anymore, but their jobs there'll be new jobs coming up.
Isn't it like the people writing the algorithms for the computers
Right.
that are getting the jobs now?
And there's a group of people called, put this in your notes, quant traders. And look it up. Andres, don't look at your hands, look at your keyboard. Quant trader. Okay? Did you get a manicure or something? You're looking at your hands so much.
Yeah.
He's looking at his nails. Okay, so do quant trader. Look it up.
Okay.
What do we get?
Um,
Who can tell me? Who raised their hand and tell me? Greta, you want to take a marker too, Greta? Right? Come with a marker and do it. We'll get it. So Greta, what did you find? What's a quant trader? Did you get it?
yeah, wait. No, I got like what's a trading the number.
Okay, what's a quant trader? Who found it?
Oh, includes high frequency trading, algorithmic trading.
Algorithmic trading. What's an algorithmic trading? So we got to figure that out. What did we find? Matt, what did we find? Algorithmic trading.
Algorithmic trading?
Yeah.
didn't look at it.
Yeah.
Quant
Will, what do we get? I'm looking. Dan, we get something?
Isn't it just like systematic, like having a strategy?
Having strategy, basically having rules, a rule-based system to tell the computer how to trade. When to buy a stock, when to short a stock, when to get out of a stock, and when not to get in. Everybody hear that song? It used to be what? Got to know when to hold it, got to know when to fold it. Kenny Rogers. We can find that song, we can play it. Okay, so if anybody can find it, let me know, okay? By Kenny Rogers, you know when to hold it, when to walk away? You know that?
Yeah.
I don't know, okay, so find it, let me know there. Okay, so what we have here is a quant trader. A lot of times the beginning salary, everybody hear this? The beginning salary of a quant trader is over $200,000 a year. Plus commissions if the strategy works. So you think it's easy to be a quant trader? No. But what they do is they work in a group with people that know the industry, right? They start writing the rules. There's PhDs in physics, PhDs in mathematics. We can have a number of different finance, a number of different people to do the quant trading. Everybody with me? So, we may go through this. This program is called Ninja Trader, and it is a platform, and it's a platform that I'm going to use. So is it an application software or system software? Claudine? Application software. And it's an application software. It comes up a lot of times with tips and so forth. And let me just close this for a second. And what you do here is this platform to test out and in simulation mode is how much? Shauna, you know how much what I like, right? How much do you think it costs?
Free.
Free, right? So this is a free software, but if you want to actually trade in your bank account, then you pay for it, and they will also be a brokerage, or you can connect to another brokerage. But I need to connect to data, so where should I go? Eden, where should I go? I need to connect to data. Go to Connect, very good. And you can have an external feed, you can have market, I can get futures trading. Those of you that know about futures, I can get that as well. I can get tick by tick data. But right now, what do I like? What do you think my choice would be? Shauna, what do you think my choice would be among those?
External.
Huh?
Free.
Free, end of
Oh,
day.
okay.
Okay, and what does end of day mean? Sam, what does end of day data mean? What does end of day data mean? Once the stock market is closed, I get the data. Now I can get end of day from a lot of places. I can get it from Yahoo Finance, I can get it from Google, I can get a number of places. But this is I've connected to it. And now I'm going to do I'm going to do a chart. And the chart here, what you can see is this is software. I can put a ticker symbol for something, and let me just, it doesn't matter what ticker. I'm just going to do IBM because it's easy in terms of the letters. And I'm going to say IBM Daily. And you can see here, and this is on software, you can put it in your notes here, that software, put this in your notes, is called object-oriented software. And that means that we're going to program modularly on a task. We have an object, and put it in your notes, the object has properties and it has methods. An object has properties and it has methods. And you know object-oriented program, you just don't know you know it. Think about a spreadsheet. A spreadsheet is what? An object. It has properties. And what are the properties? So basically, what size the type is, right? The font, the color, that's the properties, how it looks. And the methods is some kind of task to it, or some kind of verb. So what can I do? I can copy a cell, I can paste the cell, I can delete a cell. That's methods. So object-oriented, I have objects, I have properties, and I have methods. Now on this, you can see here I have IBM Daily, and these are basically all my methods and properties about it. Later on we won't worry about this, and I'll just say close. Wow, and I could tell you, if Sam was my broker, I could say, Sam, I want to buy right here. They start to look at different types of methods and rules to see it. So let me show you. They have something called strategies. You see this up here, strategies? And I'm going to do a simple strategy that comes with it. It's called Sample MA Moving Crossover. And that means I have two moving averages, one 10-day moving average and one 25 moving average. And these are all my properties and methods. And I want to enable this to be implemented. So if I want to enable this, Leah, what should I change here? It says enable to false. What should I change it to?
To true.
To true. So I pull this down, I got true, and then I apply. And it says, although you have order confirmation enabled, orders generated by a strategy will be submitted without confirmation. What this means is, guess what? Later on, I don't have to call Sam. The computer will trade as we go along. Everybody with me? The computer will do the trading, and now I'll say, okay, I got it. I'll say, okay here. I'll say, okay here. And now I have the trading strategy. Now, with this strategy, this has told me how this strategy works. Basically, there's two lines here. The yellow one is one moving average, and the green one, the solid green, is another moving average. And what they are allowing me to do is when one crosses above, I do one thing. When one crosses below, I do something else. And when you look, when I'm looking at this, you see these little red dots here? And if I go back, you see these green dots here? What do you think the green dots mean versus the red dots? Everybody understand the question? What's the question?
What are the green dots?
What are the green dots versus?
Red dots.
So, Jackie, what do you think? Just guessing. What do you think would be positive, green or red?
Green.
Green is I'm making a profit. Red means what?
I'm not.
I'm not. So what I can see is this model, this strategy right here was a winner, Jackie, or a loser? See, it told me to sell short here. At this point, it told me sell short, and guess what the market did?
Rose.
It rose, so it was the opposite. I thought it was going to go down, right? Here, it told me to buy, right? The market went, but where did it tell me to sell? Too late. It should have told me to buy at this point, to get out. So, if I look at this strategy for this stock, if I go to strategy performance, do you see this, Jackie? And go to historical and real, it gives me all my trades. Red means what, Jackie? I was a winner or a loser?
Loser.
Loser, big loser. So I can just lose my money on my own. I don't need the computer to do it quicker for me, right? So a lot of these automated trading systems, if you get one that's not working well, I'll lose my money quicker, possibly if I don't put in processes. So I could then change to another company. So what's the symbol for Apple?
AAPL.
Okay, so I'm just gonna type AAPL. You see, I'm just typing it in. And look at Apple. It basically looks like it has like that one trend, right? Of going here. This doesn't look like it was too good in this marketplace, right? And then I can just do any number of these, right? To see how well it did. You can see here that a lot of them, at this point, it did pretty good. And I can do it. Now, everybody listen. The programming language, you can put this in your notes here, the programming language of this trading algorithm is something similar to C and Java, and it's called NinjaScript. It is basically a version of what we call C#. Anybody play music? Anybody? Nobody plays music? Yeah. So you know, just like you would write a C#. So now I'm going to do Edit NinjaScript. I'm going to go to Strategy. What's the name of my strategy? Sample MA Crossover. And now we're going to get excited. Some of you more than others, but you'll see how you can see if this is going to work. This right here, this writing is called what? From all the things that we talked about, what do you think this writing is called, Claudine? Code, source code. This is source code. And you can see, I'll just tell you, we'll be programmers in the next 4 minutes. Okay? This is anything with those green, like back of slashes, they mean the computer doesn't read it. It's for human use. So it says here 1, 2, 3, 4 human use, right? It says 19 human use here. This is a description, simple moving average crossover strategy. We used it already. This method, right, this is all just code. Here, you remember we had the 2 plots. You remember I had one orange and green. This says go ahead. SMA stands for simple moving average. I'm going to add those 2 in. And this is the code which quant traders read. So, Will, how are you doing? Okay? You're a finance major.
Yep.
So you want to come over here and just read this? You can even, can you read from there or do you want to come up?
If cross above SMA.
If cross above SMA what?
Fast.
Fast.
SMA slow.
Low.
1, enter long.
Enter long. So what do you think it means in English? If one SMA crosses above, if the fast crosses above the slow, then what do you want the computer to do? What does enter long mean?
Buy the stock.
Buy the stock. This is a function, you can put it in your notes here. This is a function that's pre-programmed in NinjaScript. Anybody ever used functions before? You sure did. Where did you use a function in Excel? Name me a couple of functions in Excel. Sum, average, what else? A function. You would write a program. It's just like writing in Excel. If something, then something. This is built in just like sum and average is built into Excel. NinjaScript puts in functions that belong to what? Trading. So you don't have to write the trading rule, Will. You just have to figure out what the if-then rules are. You're on a roll, Will. You want to take it or you want somebody else to take the second part?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Confidence, you see that? We're gaining confidence. Okay.
Else if cross below SMA fast.
Okay. So meaning if it goes below, if the fast line goes below the slow line, then what do we want to do?
SMA slow 1, enter short.
That means what in English?
Short the stock.
Short the stock. Now, we may have a situation where you say, this strategy that we figured out really does well on longs, but our shorts, it sucks. When it says to short, I'm losing. So what would you do to change that? If I were profitable, everybody understand my question? If I were profitable in my buys and my selling short didn't work out, what would I do to this algorithm?
Just delete the last.
Just, right. Just take this portion out. Or if my shorts were really good, what would I do?
Take the if out.
Well, I'd have the if, but just, right, take that part out. Simple, isn't it? But this is what I'm talking about, what we mean by source code. And we'll be doing some of this in the class, Will. But we'll be already using strategy, and then we'll be modifying those strategies. And those of you that really get into this can do it as their project. Others that are not as interested in it will be doing other projects. But what I want is our project to enhance your skills and your interests. Questions? Sam, do you just want to stretch, or you have a question?
I don't know.
Okay? But this is what we call source code. So for next week, we meet on Wednesday, right? What are we going to do? I'm going to finish up, right, Vanessa, when we go through this, we won't have to spend a lot of time on this. Everybody will screencast their web conferencing with their group, select on ones, and those that only have those 14 days, try to find some others that we can